Hey, welcome to today's podcast. I'm Jonathan Myers. We're going to be talking about something over here today. It's a little different, and if you're listening to the title at all, you're probably wondering what the title has anything to do with what I'm going to be talking about. So we're calling this. It's a lot like sweet potato hash. I don't know if anybody knows what sweet potato hash is, but it's a pretty much just sweet potato hash browns with eggs and things like that. Fancy version of it. Anyways, so you're probably wondering how business is even relevant to this. So the topic about that is business is a lot like a recipe. You know, the first time you do something, it's gonna suck. So let's start back to what happened when I decided I wanted to make some sweet potato hash. I decided one day on the weekend, last weekend, that I was like, you know what? I'm feeling some sweet potato hash. I want to cook some of this stuff. Never done it before in my life. Had it before at a restaurant. Freaking bomb diggity if you haven't had it before. And ultimately, what it is, it's sweet potatoes, a bunch of bacon cut up inside, some sausage, and all these little seasonings. And you throw a few eggs on top and throw it in the oven and you cook it. Obviously, the sweet potatoes are cooked already a little bit. That way, they're not crunchy. But or else you're going to totally overcook everything. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, I decided to make this thing, and the first time I cooked it, it came out. The eggs were cooked all the way through, which kind of sucked. I like my eggs to be a little bit runny. I like my yolk to be a little bit runny and everything like that. No, it looked like I boiled the damn things. It looked like everything was just all solid all the way through. The yolk was that bright yellow. Like there was no softness to it. It was still good. Don't get me wrong, because I followed the instructions, but it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. It wasn't, giving me that didn't satisfy my desire. So what did I do? I cooked it again the very next day. The very next day I followed the same instructions, had the set of instructions right in front of me, and I'm following it to the T. But then this time, because I found out that cooking it in the oven for 15 minutes with the eggs on top overcooked the eggs. I was like, you know what? We're going to cut down maybe by 5 minutes. See what happens. So I did that. Once it finished, eggs came out with the sweet potato hash, and it was all right. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. The yolks were still they were still a little gooey, but they weren't runny like I like them still. But then again, they weren't hard like the day before. It wasn't like a boiled egg. So we made a little bit of progress, right? I'm starting to get on track. I'm starting to figure things out. I'm starting to understand. All right, we're getting closer to my goal. Still not perfect. So what I decided to do? I decided to cook it again the very next day. A third day in a row of sweet potato hash, which is totally worth it. Sweet potato hash is good 3 days in a row. You can have it for a week straight and it'll be amazeballs. So I put the stuff in the oven again and I'm cooking. I already get everything together. I have all the ingredients followed step by step, followed everything to the T, had my oven at 400. Nothing changed but the time. That's the only thing I changed was the time. Instead of doing first day, I cooked it for 15 minutes. The second day, I cooked it for 10 minutes. The third day, I decided, you know what? I'm going to cook it for 5 minutes. See what happens. So I cooked it for 5 minutes. I open it up. I look in the oven. I see it. The yolks are still a little bit. The yolks are still. They're not cooked all the way. I'm like, awesome. This is good. This is good. But I saw the egg whites weren't cooked all the way. The parts of the egg white, So, all right, so we got to cook a little bit longer. We can't cook 10 minutes, but we can't cook it for 5 minutes either. All right, cool. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I went ahead and put it in for another 2 minutes. We're still in between. We're before the 10-minute mark, and we're after the 5-minute mark. So 2 minutes goes by. Check it again. Almost there. The egg whites are still a little bit not cooked. Not by much, but only by a little bit. So, okay, we're getting closer to the end game goal. And I can tell the yolk. The yolk is still... Ooh, it still looks good. It still looks gooey. It looks soft. All right. 1 more minute. Pull it out of the oven after 1 more minute, and it's perfect. Like, we're talking the yolks are runny. The egg whites are cooked through. I put it, set it on the stove, let everything go through, let it cool down, put it on my plate, and this thing came out, like, magnificent. So, back to business. That was a short little story to kind of explain how business is. You need to have, there's different ways this correlates. There's 2 different ways that I'm thinking of right now. There's many different ways, but there's 2 main primary points I'm trying to make here. When you're running a business, when you're trying to establish a business even, or even just get a basic startup off the ground, you have to have a step-by-step set of instructions. You have to have a step-by-step set of blueprints of what you're following, so you can ultimately see what's working and what's not working. Okay? And follow these instructions to the T. Don't deviate. And then when you finish and you see your end result, guess what? Your end result might not be what you're hoping for, but it did get you some results. Just like my sweet potato hash on day one. It did not suck balls. It was still good, but it wasn't what I wanted. Now, it's a little different with business, so at the end of the result, it might suck balls. But hey, you're going to have to suck it up and fix it. So, once you follow your blueprint, find one spot. Don't fix multiple spots at one time unless you obviously see clearly what didn't work. That's a little different. But you never want to test and tweak multiple spots at the same time, because you need to see what's working and what's not working. If I had tried everything in that recipe I followed to make that sweet potato hash, if I tried switching around the time, switching around the temperature, there's no way I would have to do. If I turned the temperature down to 350 instead of 400, and I decided to cook at 10 minutes instead, I wouldn't know. Just guessing off the top of my head, I wouldn't be able to tell you what kind of idea what rate that those eggs would cook. As opposed to keeping at 400 and just dialing down the time, I can tell you, okay, I know at 15 minutes it's going to be overcooked. All right, so maybe at 10 minutes it'll be good. As opposed to 375, as opposed to switching the temperature and switching time, I'd be like guessing all across the board. Like, I don't know, let's check it 5 minutes. Okay, let's check it in 10 minutes now. Oh, well, let's check it in 5 more minutes. And then before it might be worse than the first day, or by luck, I might get it right. So follow it step by step and find a place in there you need to fix, tweak it, test it again. Find another place again after you get the results back. Tweak it, test that one spot again, and just continuously test it over and over and over till you get better and better results and ultimately getting the result you want. Which brings me to my second point. You're going to do these processes over and over and over. You're constantly testing business stuff. You're constantly testing different processes in your systems to see what's going to bring you the best results. And sometimes, ultimately, the result might suck and you might not get what you're achieving and have to just change the entire program, which is fine. That's all part of business. But the thing is, you never would have found out if you didn't have a blueprint laid out, if you didn't have a recipe laid out for how you're going to establish those results. Figure out the result you want to get and write a step-by-step process to that result. Work backwards. Like, okay, I want to land 10 meetings in a month from a lead generation agency. Okay, if I want to land 10 meetings in a month, how many closes do I need to have? Okay, I need to have, or how many how many presentations do I need to have? If I have let's just say a low ball, let's just make it easy, and let's say you have a 10% conversion rate. That's super low, by the way, but let's just say that's what it is to make numbers easy right now. And you need 10 new clients a month. Well, guess what? You're going to have 100 presentations then, because then you'll get your 10 clients. Okay, to get 100 presentations, how many appointments do I need for discovery calls? Now, let's just say, okay, cool. So I have my discovery calls that takes about, out of every 2 out of 3 discovery calls move to a presentation. Okay, cool. Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to need 3 times 100. You're going to need 300 presentation or discovery calls. All right, cool. So I need 300 discovery calls. Then you keep working backwards like that. How many initial calls or points of contacts do I need? How many appointments do I need to set to turn those into discovery calls? You keep working backwards like that. Now, that's just one diagram of a blueprint to get to an end result. Now, let's talk about other stuff. Let's talk about you trying to tweak an email campaign, and you're trying to get just that appointment. You're trying to get that response. So you're going to have to tweak different things, different lines, subject lines. Test the subject line out. Test the body out. Test the first line out. Test how you're finishing the call to action out. Test everything out. But don't do it all at once. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, let's say you're open. All right, the beginning of an email campaign. Your goal is to get that appointment. But if nobody's opening your messages, you're not going to worry about tweaking the body. You're going to want to worry about tweaking the subject, because the subject is what's going to get people to see your body. So you don't even know if your body's even the body of your email message. You don't even know if that's good or not, because nobody's opening your emails to begin with. So Work on your subject line then. Test your subject line till you get it to 60, 70, 80%, or even 90% open rate. Test it till you get to that point. Then move on and test what your body does. Test what your personal first line does. Test all that. Work through it one by one. If you follow it the way I was trying to follow this recipe for sweet potato hash, you will only get better over time. Just like mine was. If I was trying to tweak different things, different ingredients, different, like I mentioned earlier, the time, the temperature, the environment, everything all at once, man, I would never have figured it out. It would have been a clusterfuck. So, test things one by one. Take your time. It's a process. No matter what, you're going to get better if you do the testing properly. And if you keep testing. And even then, once you figure it out, you're still going to figure out better ways. The next time I make sweet potato hash, it's going to be even better than I made it the third time. I guarantee you. And same thing with business. Things keep evolving in business. Things keep moving in business. So as long as you keep learning and you keep testing, your business is going to get better. Businesses fail because they usually stop evolving. Or, pandemic hits and whatnot. But you can usually help that. You can usually kind of stop and guide the direction of your business as long as as long as you're staying ahead of the curve, as long as you're constantly learning. You can dictate what path it's going to take even during a pandemic. So don't let the environment control you. You control what you know how to control. Control the environment, control your situations, control your output, control all of that. The one thing that changed with us when the pandemic did hit is we had to start, in regards to outreach, we had to call a few more people, not many more, but a few more, instead of for about every 50 calls, I had about a 15% appointment book rate on cold calling. And on email campaign, we had about a 3% to 5% appointment book rate. So out of every 100 emails, you get 3 to 5 appointments. Out of every 20 phone calls or so, I was getting anywhere from 2 to 3 appointments. Once the pandemic hit, I probably went down to like maybe anywhere between a 5 to 10% appointment book rate. So I just had to make a few more calls. That was it. The numbers had to increase. Once I figured that metric out, I was like, okay, cool. So instead of doing 50 calls a day, I have to do 100 calls a day, which, it's not really that much. And then instead of sending out 100 emails a day, we're going to send out 200 emails a day just to get those results you want. Now, once you find those people that want to close and they're actually the people of your ideal prospect, you've done the research, you've already done, revenues do change, but when you've already got the businesses set up and established within your criteria based on revenue, based on size, based on industry, your chances of closing on an ideal prospect that's going to accept your prices are still very high. So, getting to your end result, start and dictate where you want to go. Test each variable one by one. Always keep up to date. You do this, and your business will grow. Bottom line. So, that's it. Wanted to talk to you about my sweet potato hash experience. I was totally excited about it, to be honest. It was a complete eye-opener for me in itself, and I didn't really think about business to be like that. I used to think about it like building a house, which I still do, but, that's in regards to tools, what tools you're going to use. But, again, Jonathan Myers here. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com//whatever/ it is. The THE Jonathan JONATHAN Myers MEYERS. Facebook's the same thing, facebook.com, the whole / thing, the Jonathan Myers. DM me any of those. I'm also on Fridays. I'm going to try to start scheduling people to interview in regards to just podcast things making it more entertaining. I have a few people in mind right now, so those will be exciting. We're not going to do that this week. Maybe next week, hopefully. I have to talk to a few of those people. And, that way you can see exactly how other businesses are doing stuff. Get an idea from another party as well. Otherwise, everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you later.